All right, Dax, another offseason is upon us. What's the toughest part about being a journeyman in a new city?
Well, Gordo, you know this as well as I do. Being a journeyman in a new city or a city that you're staying in is always difficult. The uncertainty of the future. Are you going to stay? Are you going to go somewhere else? Back in 2020 with Nashville SC, when we had a brand new team, everyone coming to a new city, there was only one person that we trusted to get our real estate needs done, and that's Erin Mishu with Fikes Realty Group. She made everything perfect, flawless, seamless. We had absolutely no issues getting into our house here in Nashville, and all my teammates felt the same way. You can check Erin out at majorleague-realestate.com.
Back live, Major League Journeyman in tow with a special guest here. Resume at this point probably trumping all three of ours combined outside of maybe the championships. But Zim, you are Defender of the Year, what feels like perennially now. All-Star, Best 11, national team. It's been fun to watch your career kind of grow and obviously progress from jumping onto the scene as a young player, obviously influential in a significant position at the center back spot that I feel like we've talked an awful lot about, Americans in that position. And I think something that, Gordo and I were chatting about this a little bit, not that you are certainly not Omar Gonzalez, but Omar Gonzalez was one of those players prior to you that kind of reset the standard in MLS. He was, I think, granted a lot of responsibility from Bruce, and kind of watching you kind of take on some of this stuff within responsibility within the national team and within the clubs that you're captaining, now at Nashville. I think we see a lot of similarities. Just starting off there as you head into, what year is this for you, by the way?
You're 12.
Year 12. Are you feeling a different weight of responsibility within kind of that space?
Not really. I think the past few years have kind of been similar to this year in that, like, there is an increased responsibility because of the success. And I think, honestly, with Nashville, ever since I got here with, Dax, when he welcomed me in with open, loving arms as a roommate that first year, just the expectation of, like, I need to perform. Like, this team traded for me. They spent a lot of money to get me. I need to uphold my end of the bargain. And so just setting that expectation for myself, Gary's been great in terms of responsibility that he gives to, older players, veteran players. There's a lot of freedom there to do things on the field. And so that's been a big part of, my success the past couple of years.
Hey,
how does that translate? Sorry,
you meant, I just need to clarify. You meant that in a good way, right? Like he's obviously no Omar Gonzalez.
I tried to say it in that way.
It sounded terrible. It sounded terrible. I know what you meant, but that sounded awful. I know you're just saying, I know you're Walker and he's Omar, but it sounded bad. I just wanted to clarify for the listeners.
Well, I appreciate you clarifying.
No disrespect to Omar. I mean, what a legend. Also, his cooking game is it's a great follow on Instagram if you want to follow Omar for Gonzalez.
It is fire.
What's better, his cooking game or his coffee making?
He has more technology and trinkets in the kitchen than any human I think I've ever seen.
Actually, I think that Q collar is going to start cooking some food soon. Watch out.
Program that thing in his neck.
Yeah.
It's going to start chewing his food for him, I think. Getting back to that, though, because Omar also, I think, played a pretty significant role on the national team. Have you felt that as well as kind of your responsibility has elevated within that space?
Yeah, I think for me with the national team, like this is I guess my first camp was January of 2017. And this is the first January camp that I didn't go to. I was kind of rehabbing my Achilles. So it was 7 years straight of a Jan camp. And just the difference of like coming in kind of with that old guard, going under that transition from, Jurgen to Bruce to Greg. Right. It's just brought a lot of change into the program, a lot of change for myself growing up, like within that team. It went from being like starstruck, like eyes wide open to, hey, now it's a lot of young guys with a lot to prove. How can you kind of work your way into a leadership role with those guys? And then now it's like an even younger generation that's coming under the previous one. So it's like, it's going at light speed, man, but definitely enjoying the ride, and hopefully can use some of this veteran leadership during Copa America and all the big friendlies and events that we have coming up.
Dude, how pumped are you for all this stuff being in the United States? I know that's almost like a layup question and probably kind of silly, but like, have you really like wrapped your head around that yet? Like you got obviously a great opportunity, nothing set in stone, but a great opportunity to play in a World Cup in the US. That shit is insane to me. Like that.
Walks, before you answer that, how old were you for the 94 World Cup? And like, do you still remember that?
I was one. I don't remember.
So
that.
No, got it. Okay. So yeah, for us old guys, we were very clearly.
You remember that, huh?
I remember it. It was seared into my memory. There were a few games in Orlando. My dad was taking me to a few games. The Citrus Bowl at the time.
Wow.
Did you ever play in a few of the games at the old Orlando City Stadium, Citrus Bowl?
Yeah, we did actually. Yeah. We did.
So, yep. So I just remember like thinking it was the coolest thing ever, that the biggest tournament in the world of sports was in the U.S. And now, like parlaying that. What's up?
I was 11. So like, I mean, it was a full on in our consciousness that like soccer had arrived in the US. Like it was here.
But even then that was a feeling, Dan, but like soccer wasn't even on most people's radar at the time as Americans, right?
As in like, it felt like it arrived on a boat and was dropped on our shores and like, hey guys, here's soccer. It was like, what the hell is it? Even though like, we played soccer, but it wasn't to that degree.
And by the way, that's why that World Cup is why the three dinosaurs on here all had jobs in MLS for as long as they did, because that kind of launched MLS, right? Walker probably would have gone over to Europe and learned German playing in the Bundesliga. But like for you, like when you think about the Copa America and potentially being a part of 2026 here on US soil, I mean, that's like a crowning moment in one's life, in one's career. Obviously you don't want to get too far ahead down the road, but you know, we've talked a little bit about like before we started recording about the cities where the games are going to be, obviously on the West Coast. I'm just wondering, like, if you can speak on it from like a macro level, like how incredible it would be to be a part of that on home soil, and then just from more of like a technical level, group stage. If you've had any conversations with some of the guys in the national team group chats about like the games being in LA and Seattle and kind of how that's going to look going into the tournament.
Yeah, dude, I think it's super exciting. One, that we get to go to Seattle again. Like I've never gotten to play in Seattle.
Right.
I don't remember the last time. It was like 2013 or something.
I think it was was it a World Cup qualifier where I remember Josie scored?
Stu Holden was playing, wasn't he? I thought that
was a long time ago. Yeah.
I thought I saw them post something. It was like, I think it was 2013. Maybe it was before that. But anyways, being in Seattle will be awesome. Just having been there for multiple playoff games, that environment that they have. We saw when they won, CONCACAF Champions League, just the sellout capacity is going to be really special there. LA, we know what that brings in terms of, a sports city. It's going to be legendary. Looking at LAFC and even Galaxy selling out Rose Bowl 90,000. I mean, I know it's not the Rose Bowl, but
is your boy Will Ferrell? He's probably going to hit you up for courtside seats or what?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure he can find another way to get tickets, but if he does need some, he can certainly give me a call.
Is the LA, Seattle, LA setup your ideal setup, or would you want to play somewhere else? Is there anywhere else in the country where you'd like to play?
I mean, I think ultimately, hopefully we play in a lot more cities than that, if we get out of the group stage. But, just from having done a lot of these tournaments and, you guys would know with Gold Cup, the travel is tough. Like when you're going like 4 days between games, 5 days between games, but you're traveling across the country, and it's just a lot of logistics. It's a lot of turnover. And if you're focused on just winning and the performance, limiting travel is a big part of that. So yeah, I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense that we have to be, somewhat regional. So it was always going to be that way, whether it was the Southeast, Northeast, Central or West Coast. And, we are obviously on the West Coast for group stage. So it'll be great. Hopefully we end up back in MetLife in the final, Dallas or Atlanta, I think, or semis. Like that'd be amazing. So hopefully we'll get to show a lot of fans across the entire country. They can come catch us live if we can do our part.
Man, you have a lot of games in the build up to that, right? So you'll get plenty of opportunities, I think, to to play in front of our fans, like the years that you've been available, have you seen, or not available, but available for selection, have you seen a big change in fans and fandom and fan engagement within the national team? This question, I was thinking about this with was it Lindsey Horan? Is that who made those comments recently?
Yeah.
About the fans and not being knowledgeable? Is that something that you guys think about? Do you talk about that at all?
We don't really talk about it too much. I would say that, oftentimes the atmosphere is great, and you're in World Cup qualifying and you're at home and the fans show up. You look at, them showing up in negative degrees in Minneapolis. You look at them showing up in Cincinnati against Mexico, Columbus always, Orlando against Panama when we needed to win that last qualifier on our home soil. Like, they show up for those games. I think where sometimes it's difficult are some of the offhanded friendlies where, you want to have a full stadium and for whatever reason it's just not quite packed. And so we just, that for us is, we're focused on the game at that point. But do we wish it was full? Yeah, absolutely. I don't think we'll run into that problem with all the things coming up with, Copa America and World Cup, and obviously some big friendlies that we're going to have scheduled. So the opponent probably matters to the American fan. But I do wish that it's the point where it becomes a team that they have to see no matter who they're playing, and that they can sell it out regardless.
Have you
Do you have a favorite?
Have
Do
you
you have
ran?
a favorite place? Hold on, Gordo, one sec. Do you have a favorite place? Zim, take Nashville off the board. Do you have a favorite place where you would say is your number one?
Man, I think the most fun I had in the qualifying cycle was actually in Cincy against Mexico. But again, I think a lot of it depends on the opponent. And look at those games.
Yeah.
Anytime you're in a qualifier against Mexico, like whatever city you're in, that stadium is going to be packed and it's going to be hostile. It's going to be loud. So I think that's kind of the marquee game that, I've gotten to play in. But yeah, anytime the stadium is sold out,
it's also like determined with how everything goes, the result, the performance. Like, you guys
True.
absolutely balled out that game. Like, that was one of the, I think, signature wins of that group in their time. Yep. And look, the Journeymen, buddy, like, you probably can't either confirm or deny this, but the Journeymen are of the opinion that this is probably one of the worst Mexico teams that we've seen in the last 30, 40 years. But that doesn't mean that it's an easy game. That doesn't mean that all of a sudden you're just going to step on the field and beat them because you have more talent. And so you have to do the business on the field, and probably why you remember that game so fondly, at least from what I remember, it was like men versus boys out there in every facet of the game. Technically, tactically, you guys were just bullying them all over the field. Mexico looked like they didn't even want to be there. And so for me, I'm like, okay, Walker's probably saying Cincinnati because he remembers just the feeling of just total domination in that game.
Well, to that point too, though, I mean, you look back at, maybe they're not in the form that they always have been. But you look at what they did to us in the Gold Cup final. We lost 1-0 in Chicago. Then we lost at home 3-0 at MetLife, and we got smacked. And so, like, it had been a build of, like, man, like, they're getting the better of us. And then for a couple games in a row, like, we have just been dominating them. And you're right, like, that plays a big part into probably why I remember it so well or think about it so fondly. But even just that transition of, like, when I started with the national team, our games against Mexico versus what we did in Cincinnati, like, night and day difference with how we played.
Mexico,
Gordowski.
No, I was just gonna say. I mean, did you say that a certain amount of your games with the national team on our soil are not sold out?
Yeah, majority for sure.
What would you say? 50% or more?
I would say more are not sold out. I think
that's so surprising to me, dude. I would never have thought that.
I mean, if you look at, especially if you do any friendly outside of playing against Mexico, it's hardly ever sold out. I mean, I don't know too much about how the ticket prices work and everything. I see fans kind of talking about, U.S. soccer and the price of tickets for certain games. I don't follow all that too closely, but we do see when we show up to the game, we're like, man, why is it not sold out? Like, it's a big game for us.
That's a problem. That's a big problem. Wow. I would have never, ever thought that. That's surprising to me. That's sad for a U.S. soccer fan, that we're not.
Hopefully it changes again after all this big stuff. Like, I'm hoping that the spotlight and just the exposure that we'll have as a group from 2024 on, through the World Cup is going to change that. And then they'll be looking to like catch, seeing these guys, Christian and Tyler and Weston, like any chance they get, they have to go to the game because of the star power and the growth of these players.
I always talk for the suburban dad community, and I can tell you 100%.
You want us to play in Frisco?
Yeah, I can tell you 100% that people are stoked. I mean, I don't know if it's just because they're trying to be cool when they're talking to me, but like I think that the nation is ready for it, man. I think this is going to be so legendary. I mean, they were ready for it in '94. I mean, I didn't get to talk because I usually don't because these guys, but I was 13 and I was 13 when the World Cup came and I didn't even watch a game, but people came out and watched. So I think now it's going to be prime, dude. I'm stoked for you guys. I think
that's because you were too busy in your grunge skater era. Like
I was a baseball player back then. I didn't know what soccer was, and my career showed it. It's fine.
We're in the developmental academy.
Yeah.
I want to change gears a little bit. I want to take it to Nashville, and I'm not going to ask you how much you miss me because I already know the answer to that question. Because rumor and word on the street is that you decided to take my old locker at the training facility.
I sure did.
Oh, wow.
Which I'm honored.
Sure did.
And I just want to know.
This dickhead's out of here.
Was it a corner spot?
Exactly. He's been eyeing that for a while.
It's a Taj Mahal, dude. This thing is nice.
Oh, here's the truth coming out. No wonder
I wanted to know
out of this thing, dude.
I wanted to know how much of it was related to you missing me and how much of it was related to prime real estate in the locker room.
I would. The honest answer is probably 80% prime real estate, just because I've looked at that thing. It is so spacious. You got good company over there. Obviously, a lot of good memories over there. I can see you now in the towel just protesting a spin.
Sure.
It's really, so then the 20% is the memories that come with, associating your beautiful, face over there in the corner.
Oh, thank you.
Walk. Did you have the conversations with your former locker mates? Like, how do they feel about this?
So that was part of it. Was our equipment manager texted me? He's like, "Hey, got 2 new guys coming up from the academy," which I love those guys. I got to talk to them a lot, and he was like, "Would you like to go sit next to your son, which is Jack Mayer over in the corner?" And I was like, "Man, it's nice to move around the locker room. I've been there, I guess 2.5 years at the training facility, and then." I guess 2 years, and then it was just time for change of scenery, get some more banter with some other guys.
It's like a good dinner party, you don't always sit in one seat at the dinner party. You got to move around a little bit.
You got to mingle.
It's fine.
That's right.
It's fine. Walker, he doesn't want to mentor the young guys. That's what I take out of this. Okay, so the game that the boys play pre-game family, we love it. We all know it. We love it. What I do want to know is that. Is my presence missed there a little bit? I was kind of the guy bringing the quality. I never lost family in my entire time there. There was one time when Hani got very angry because he thought that I should have been at the top of the leaderboard. And for people that don't know what we're talking about, before Nashville games, we play a fun little game that Brian Beckles at Nashville SC legend, Honduran legend, he introduced to us to bring us closer together as a team when we were in our expansion year. And it was just all around the center circle, 3 guys in the middle, kind of like a big rondo, and it's all fun and games. But it got kind of serious last year with guys not wanting to go in the middle, a little bit of controversy. I think we sorted it out by the end of the year. So how much do you miss me in that game?
We
sorted out for this year.
No, rumor has it that things are already happening. This past week, even I heard from a little birdie that. There was some major controversy, and some people didn't want to go in for the triangle situation. And
I don't like that.
The option was given that player could choose to go in or they could leave. They could get out of family. So I was out on the field for this.
That's a hard line. I like it.
I heard secondhand. I am not here to say who or what or how. That's just the circumstances that are presented on this podcast.
Hey, I just want to you don't have to go into intimate detail, but obviously. Like you haven't made any appearances in the preseason games. How are you feeling physically? Just are you making progress?
Yeah, getting back. Obviously, it was a long year last year, playing through a lot. So did what I had to do in the off season. Got some things done, and now it's just about getting fit again, trying to get sharp, working my way back into training. So I've been kind of doing partial training the last week in Florida, getting back into full training hopefully this week, and if all goes well, can get some minutes in our next preseason game, depending on how things go this week. So
well, I love to hear that, and I also just want everyone to know, listen, if you do get back, I want you to reintroduce yourself into family very slowly, okay? Because I don't want to go back to a few years ago when you came in, you didn't have your proper warm up. We all know what happened. I was the first one to get banned. You went in the middle for a questionable call. We started to bang on you guys there in the middle, 20, maybe a meg, and you ended up going in for a very hard tackle on someone. You injured them, you injured yourself. We want to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Yeah, if you guys, I mean, I'm sure you can't believe it, but you know who the instigator was in this whole situation. Should not have been involved.
Oh, yeah.
Shouldn't have been involved. This is probably why we had to start establishing some clear rules and guidelines. I was the bigger person. I went in, and they started laughing. And
they don't know who you're talking about.
I saw red, and I delivered a tackle.
Walker, one thing from a guy that had almost as good of a career as you've always had or already had. I'm telling you, preseason is so overrated. In my first 7 years, I should be in the preseason Hall of Fame, and then the season would come and I would suck. And then the back half of my career, I didn't do any preseasons, and I was still shitty, but I stayed healthy. That's the point.
Yeah.
Moral of the story.
I like that because this is the first time in a long time I haven't had like a good, run of preseason under my belt. So this is encouraging stuff.
It's gonna be great, dude. And before we leave Tennessee, wait, is that where you guys are? Tennessee? Nashville?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
I just want to clarify one thing. Your boy Dax came on this pod and he was like, Walker Zimmerman says that I should be the number 10. He said that last year. He says, adamant about it.
I stand by it.
You stand by it, and you weren't busting balls and trying to pump them up a little bit.
Absolutely not.
Hold on. Can you talk through that? Because
let's go to the tape. Let's go to the tape. This is where you guys edit it right now. You go back to the game. You see him do the little back heel flick to Nunga on the top of the box. You see him hit the banger off the crossbar.
We did see that.
It's when he's in advanced positions on the field. And actually, one of the things I dislike about Dax's game the most is he should take more chances. He should shoot more. This guy gets to the top of the box, and he always looks to pass. Sometimes you just got to go the distance. So I think giving him the freedom as a 10 to unlock the defense, but also unlock himself a little bit, I think it could be pretty powerful.
Right.
Being too unselfish has always been my curse.
Yeah.
In all facets of life. In all facets of life.
I'll say this though, Gordo. I have spoken probably to Dax about what I have planned for my future, and it's when I realize I can no longer make it 90 minutes, however many years from now that will be. I always dream about the Alan Gordon role, and I'm like, you give me if you sign me past the age of 38, we'll say 38.
Yeah.
And that I'm only playing 10 or 15 minutes max a game if we're tied or losing.
Nine minutes.
I will give you my all, and you are my inspiration. But I want it to be known I want to sign as a forward.
Yes.
And only in that situation. It was the best role I have ever seen. It looks so fun. You're just chill and warm up. You just sit the whole first 60 minutes and then get warm.
Gordo, but here's
guys like you, and you're like, fuck, dude. This is bullshit. I'm tired. I am tired.
Yeah.
Gordo, hold on. This is the difference. This is the main difference between you and between Walker. Okay, your coach, he would sub you in and he would tell you, go up there, give me something, score a goal. Walker, he takes it upon himself.
I've seen it.
Scary. When we're losing or when we're tied and we need a result, hey, I'm going up there, whether you like it or not. All right.
It's practice, dude. He's getting practice reps in.
And guess who ends up at center back while Walker's gallivanting up top? I did. All right. And I had no issues with it because I loved it. I love being the quarterback back there. But this is where I think Walker's going to thrive later in his career. Maybe that role, that 10, 15 minutes. You throw this guy up top. You just bang a couple long balls up there. Guess what? Something is bound to happen.
Walker, let me help you with your negotiations. You go to the coach or GM, you say, I will get you 9 points this season. Okay. I will get you 9 points. That's the difference in a couple seedings or maybe the playoffs, whatever happens.
I like that a lot.
I've
never thought about it in terms of points. That's pretty powerful stuff.
Gordo, we live in crazy times right now. What are things looking like in the real estate market?
Oh, Dax, you know that rates are always going to be the best with Synergy One lending, and those are always going to fluctuate. But one thing that never fluctuates, that's the service you get with Erin from Fikes Realty Group. She is the #1 agent I will refer all my clients to. She handles all the obstacles up front, really takes the stress out of any transaction and move that you have. Check out my girl, Erin Mishu with Fikes Realty Group at majorleague-realestate.com.
Walker, I want to before we leave Tennessee, I want to tell a quick story. And I don't know if you heard rumblings of this story, but it's a weird one. Okay, I'm obviously going back and forth on my days off between Atlanta and Nashville.
I heard this story.
Have you heard this story?
I heard this. I've heard the rumblings.
I haven't.
This was funny. I enjoyed the story. The dinosaurs haven't heard the story, so I'll bless the dinosaurs and our loyal listeners with a very random universe story.
Are you going to actually tell the story, or are we just going to set the story up? What are we doing?
I'm going back and forth between Atlanta and Nashville, and I noticed during our first
texts or calls,
game,
by the way, during this time.
Okay. Listen, I'm on full-time dad duty. What do you want from me?
Busy.
I'm on full-time dad duty. What do you want from me? Full dedication to the boys. Anyways, I'm like, where are my shin guards? You know how much my shin guards mean to me. All right. These are valuable relics. Gordo remembers the shin guards. Like, I've had them since the Dallas days. All right. Long time. I can't find them. I text Bentley. He's the kit man for Nashville SC. I'm like, hey man, do you have my shin guards? And he essentially was like, yeah, I have your shin guards. I wasn't sure if you were retiring or not. And you told me I could keep them if you retired. So I got them. I'm like, that's messed up. A. B, give me them back right now. On my way back to Atlanta from Nashville, probably about a week ago now, I give Bentley a call, and he lives 5 minutes from the training facility. I'm like, hey, man, meet me out front of the training facility, okay, and give me my shin guards back. He's like, no problem. 7:30 at night, all right? There's nobody there. We're outside the gate, outside the fence, just 2 cars, 2 bros hanging out, exchanging shin guards. If you didn't know any better, you'd probably think something nefarious was going down. Anyways, a car pulls up very slowly and is just kind of sitting there in the roundabout. And I'm like, who is this? Like, what's going on? Me and Bentley were having the conversation literally about 20 seconds before this. He was like, hey man, how's Atlanta preseason? We have a guy who you guys, I think, just announced finally, so I'm not breaking any news here. Amar Sadich. He's like, yeah, Amar Sadich, he was on Atlanta last year. He's kind of telling me about like the differences between Gary's preseason and Pineda's preseason, this, that, and the other. That car that pulled around, Amar Sadich walks out of the car, is like, Bentley, what's up, dude? I guess his wife just gave birth and he was in Atlanta and now he's back in Nashville. And he goes, yeah. He goes, Dax, we had never met before. He's like, nice to meet you. I think we're just changing teams and changing numbers. So he's taking number 6 in Nashville. I'm taking number 13 in Atlanta, which was his number. And we had just so happened to meet randomly outside the training facility where I'm picking up my shin guards from Bentley. I found that, and Bentley was just talking about him 20 seconds prior. I found that very creepy and very weird. And I told people this, and I was like completely mind blown. But I'm very happy. He seems like a nice guy. I feel like he would be a good successor for the number 6. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I didn't get to watch a whole lot of preseason, but I got to watch our game against Birmingham at home, and it was weird seeing someone else out there in the 6. But I would say he did you proud. He had a really good little cameo. I liked his range of passing, willing to play out of any situation, wanting to play forward. So
good.
A lot of qualities that you brought, I think he can still have and grow into.
Could you see him doing the job as a 10 like I could?
I don't know if I haven't seen many like back heel flicks or like shooting stuff yet, but in terms of the swagger, I think he's got a little swagger about him that you always carried with that number 6.
That's good to hear, man. I'm glad it's in good hands.
You guys, both sides, Atlanta and Nashville, signed a couple free agents. We were talking a bit about some of the other moves that MLS just put on best MLS or best free agency signing. Any that stuck out to you? What do you guys? We've talked about, and I wanted to bring up Joseph Martinez signs in Montreal. Gordo, I know we've gone back and forth on Joseph and what his, maybe not reputation at this point, but like his potential success. Do you think he's going to do well? What do you think?
Dude, I'd be lying if I said I knew anything about Montreal. I mean, some of my team, I don't,
All right, so give me what you know about Joseph. Do you think that this is a good move for him or no?
Well, it's a good move for him to get out of Miami for sure, because he's not going to be there, right? And so if he is on a team that has a high power offense, the guy's going to score goals. It just depends on if they can get him the ball. He was in a perfect situation in Atlanta. He thrived. He proved to be one of the league's most potent goal scorers of all time. He goes to Miami. He gets hurt, right? And I think he could have
tore his ACL.
Right. And then he could have been that. So it just depends on how their offense is. And so I don't know enough to say if he's going to be successful or not. He won't be as successful as he was in Atlanta. I know that for sure. And the difference, let's ask Walker this. Walker, if you can't answer this, if you had to guess, would you bet that Martinez or Jossie Zardes would score more goals in the MLS from today forward?
That's good. I'm gonna go with Joseph. I think that he's gonna have a little bit of a resurgence here. Not like Atlanta, but I wouldn't be surprised if you see him kind of in around that 12 goal mark is what I would probably peg him at.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to disagree. Can I disagree?
Of course.
I picked Jossie.
Listen, I'm my answer. I have a one up on you guys, so I'm playing with a stacked deck here. We just played Montreal yesterday in preseason, so Joseph didn't play, but he was there and about the field, catching up with some old Atlanta folks. And let me just say, Montreal is going to be dangerous this year. We won the game 2-1, but you know how it is in preseason, right? A lot of rotation. But they first of all, do you guys know anything about their new head coach? He came from
Laurent Courtois.
He came from Columbus Crew.
He's an ex-Galaxy player.
They are a carbon copy of Columbus and what they're trying to accomplish in Columbus. And they have some good players, man. They signed a couple of attacking players, Joseph included, but
so far I'm only hearing things that are supporting what I'm saying. I'm waiting for the flip side. I'm waiting for what you're going to tell me about. I'm waiting for what you're going to say about Austin coming into this year after last year and what that's going to look like.
You know me, Walker. You know I take time to build things up. I'm a man of a lot of words. Okay,
we'll sit here and wait longer.
They brought in. I'm almost certain they brought in a DP number 9. I don't know his name. I would have to look it up. He's either a TAM for Montreal. He's either a DP or a TAM level number 9. And they also have Mason Toy, who, if this guy can stay healthy, is an absolute horse. This guy's a handful. Dude,
Mason Toy? Hold on. You're taking a healthy Mason Toy over a healthy Joseph Martinez?
Well, I don't know if Joseph Martinez is going to be healthy.
Well, we don't know if Mason Toy is going to be healthy.
So you're saying he's going to be?
I'm saying that I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility that Joseph is a super sub, and he'll start a couple games here and there. I think Giassi is going to get a lot of minutes for Austin. And while yes, Walker, I agree with you. Austin wasn't great last year. I don't think they have a lot of competition. I mean, I think they just signed Diego Rubio, but Giassi doesn't have a whole lot of competition up there, right? And so I think Giassi is the right answer. I think if Joseph can get healthy, Joseph will score goals, but I don't think he's going to be on the field as much as you guys are probably thinking he's going to be on the field. But this team, Montreal, they're going to do some interesting things. They play very much like Columbus. They play very aggressive. And part of the reason why I say I don't know how much Joseph's going to be on the field is because they were high pressing the life out of us.
If they're both healthy and play the whole year as starters, are you saying because this is
give me are you saying Toy or Giassi?
No, I'm saying Giassi and Joseph.
I'm saying
I love Giassi to death. Okay.
I'm saying Giassi scoring more goals.
I mean, I don't hate it. I think it'll be close. Giassi's proven he can be lethal anywhere he goes. So
I just want to see Joseph healthy and get a good run of games. Because if that happens, of course, he's a deadly finisher. I just don't know if that's going to happen, especially with the competition that they have up there in Montreal.
Meh.
You disagree? You taking Joseph? You
I don't know.
Atlanta United homer?
I didn't hear that as a compelling argument to why Joseph wouldn't be on the field scoring goals.
I do. I think it was a good argument.
Thank you, Gordo. That they have other options up top, like significant options as well.
Yeah, it's a good argument. I picked Jossie as well just because of longevity.
There's a lack of competition.
And being on the field.
Yeah, but
they're all
Austin's
hypothetical, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. I don't know.
Let's not forget, Dan, Giassi's also playing with one of the best number 10s in the league. So let's just leave it at that.
That is true. I really like him. Hey, did
Montreal still have Piatti?
Did their 6 or their 8? What was his name? Danny? No, not Danny. Austin 6. He was my favorite. Yes.
Pereira.
Did he go anywhere? Is he still there?
No, he's still there.
Dude, I love that kid. So good. He's so good. He's going to go somewhere soon. Is he still he's Colombian international, right? Or no,
I don't
Venezuela.
think so.
No, it's Venezuela.
I'm not sure.
I think he's Venezuela. Any other free agency signings that you took note of?
Yeah, Tyler freaking Boyd.
Yeah.
Heard it here first. He's been looking real good for us.
Dude, he's not a free agent signing.
I like him.
Well, sorry. New acquisition.
That's
I was
fair.
sad that the Galaxy let him go. I thought he was in great spots for him.
Don't give us any trade secrets here, but how do you see Boyd fitting in with Hani in the front line? Do you see him as a winger? Do you see him as a 10? Do you see him as right, left, anywhere along the front line?
That's what's been most impressive is he's played all three spots in preseason. He's played as a 10 or on either side, and it's because now we have the injury to Randall. Unfortunately, got hurt again while in Costa Rica, so that changes things. But yeah, he can play anywhere, and he's just very dynamic with the ball. He can get it turned, dribble past guys, but he's unselfish. So he's making that final pass. He's had a lot of assists, had a goal in preseason. He just any bright attack that we are creating in these preseason games, he's been a major part of those movements. So it's encouraging.
Where does Hani go when he goes to the 10? Or is it just when he's out?
I think it's more so when he's out. I think Hani will still be, with Sam in the middle of the field for the most part, and you'll have Tyler and probably Schaffelberg on the other side, as long as Randall's out. So I think it gives us a problem once Randall comes back. Not a problem, a good problem to have when Randall gets back healthy. That it's gonna be tough to figure out how to get our best guys on the field.
Well, that's good, dude. It seems like there's a lot of attacking depth that you guys have now, dude. Walks, you've been great. We'll get you out of here on one or two more. One for me, and obviously I don't want you to go into any intimate detail because we'll save that for the season. I know Gary, I think one of his press conferences that he had recently, he spoke about, making some subtle changes into maybe a tactical shift, maybe a formation change. I'm not really sure what he was referencing. And obviously I don't want you to confirm or deny any of these. I just want to ask you, obviously you haven't really played a ton in preseason, but in terms of your team meetings, in terms of maybe what you've seen in training, can Nashville fans expect to see a little bit of a shift in whatever that may be, whatever Gary was talking about? Have you noticed that? Have you seen that?
Yeah, I think the main goal for us this year is to have more pressures higher up the field. He put up a nice, chart graph for us, one of our preseason meetings, talking about kind of the first half of the season, our pressures in the opponent's half, regains in the opponent's half versus the last half, like our average starting position. And we were just a lot deeper second half of the season, weren't pressing as much. That's for a lot of different factors, but I think that's been the thing that we're focusing on more is to be a little bit more attacking minded. It's going to be moving higher up the field and creating moments where we're pressing a little bit more than we have been in the past.
Yeah, that's something that stuck out to me for sure. And just speaking from experience with the group second half of the season, it felt like we definitely hit a little bit of a wall, maybe ran out of gas a little bit after Leagues Cup. And I think that showed in how high or how deep we were on the field. That's just a fact. And so that'll be interesting to see, man. And then I got one more for you, and it's a quick hitter. It's an easy one. And you're not allowed to say Jack Mayer. But from what you've seen, you could be argued you're one of the best center backs in MLS history. I want a young center back that you really like in MLS, and you're not allowed to say anyone on Nashville because I know you like Lucas, I know you like Jack, but someone who you think has a very high ceiling, very high potential, national team potential, someone who could follow in your distinguished footsteps.
Yeah, man, I obviously watch a lot of Seattle games just because I like Jordan and Christian. They're my boys. So I've gotten to see a lot of Jackson Reagan play. And I think just the way that they play highlights his qualities. I think he's an underrated passer and does a lot of good stuff, passing balls between the lines, and is very confident in that. You know, even when he has a mistake, he'll get the ball and he'll try it right away again. And so I love to see that, you know, even amongst mistakes, he just, no problem. Like, this is the right play. I'm gonna make the play. I'm not worried about if I turn it over again or if I made a mistake. You know, he just seems to have a good head on his shoulders, decent in the air. He can score on some set pieces. So that's a guy that I think has benefited from that system, and hopefully he can take another leap. And you know, Yamar gets a lot of the accolades over in Seattle, and I know you love him and
I love
and
Yamar,
what he brings
dude.
to the team. So I think it's one of those things where he could have a really big year and maybe start to be seen as not equals over there, but just a really big part of what, you know, their defensive successes look like over the past season.
I like that take. I like him a lot too, man. So, dude, we really appreciate it. The Journeymen always appreciate the time of good American guys. You're not quite. Are we? Guards and Gordo were agreed. He's not a Journeyman at this
honorary, but no, you got like an honorary degree from Southeastern New Hampshire University or whatever.
That's right. I sure do. Studying now though. Studying now for CFP.
Dude, so you were an early adopter, or at least open with your appreciation, affection for Taylor Swift with the Super Bowl this weekend. Are you feeling like this is validation for you? Like, are you validated by the coverage that T Swift and Travis Kelce are getting right now, or were you way ahead of the curve?
Man, it's pretty wild. I thought for sure when it came out, I was like, nah, this is not real. This is definitely a publicity thing. And then like I was kind of enjoying it. I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like, she finally is with an athlete. Like, she knows what's up. You know, she's like, seems happy because maybe she's dating some normal guys every once in a while. And then I'm a Ravens fan, so when the Chiefs beat the Ravens, now I'm kind of like, I was kind of for the Chiefs for a little bit, like, oh, like it's good to see Taylor, and like, you know, it's just a cool story. And now I'm all Niners for the game just because it was heartbreaking as a Ravens fan to let that one slip away.
You want to see her sad
for the game.
So you're saying you want to see her sad?
Well, it'll make for a better album next up, right?
That's right. I mean, yeah. We got one coming April 19th. I'm pretty excited about.
You are a Swiftie. That's awesome. Gordo, who do you got? You got Chiefs or Niners?
I don't care. I like both stories. I like see people
French onion dip.
Greatness, and I like Purdy and McCaffrey. And
look at this guy. The fence straddler strikes again.
Yeah, it's crazy.
He's back.
I mean,
give me the Niners.
You're taking the Niners.
I think Niners are a better team, but you cannot. It's hard to bet against Mahomes. It's
tough to bet against Mahomes.
That sounds like a fence to me, boys.
I'm taking Chiefs. I'm taking Chiefs.
But just me? Okay.
I'm taking the Niners. I'm taking the Niners. I'm just saying. I'm justifying why people could choose the Chiefs.
I got you.
Yeah.
I'll go Niners.
Hey, listen, on behalf of the Major League Journeymen, Gordo, Dax, myself, Walker, I always appreciate it. Thanks for jumping on, man.
Thanks,
Journeymen, we will see you guys out there next time. Adios.